In this video, I'm going to share with you the secret to making your own stock at home in a few easy steps, plus the easiest way to cool and store them. And with this, you'll be able to ditch the maggi and make delicious meals using this delicious broth that you made yourself. So if that sounds interesting, stay tuned and let's get started. So we are in the kitchen now and we are going to start with my soup packs, and I have turkey soup packs here. I live in Austria and you can find these at Interspar. They come in a pack with like the neck, the liver, a wing, or some have a drumstick. And this is some leeks that I had in my fridge. I will also be using 2 packs of the soup mix, and then a few onions, some ginger and garlic as well. Here I'm washing my turkey soup pack, and I'm going to wash it with hot water a couple of times just to get rid of some of the excess fat plus that sliminess that is on it. So yeah, wash it a few times and then I'll put it in my soup pot. So in case you're wondering, what is stock? Stock, which is also called broth, is the base of all soups and gravies. And stock making involves simmering bones, meat, vegetables, fish or seafood with water and some vegetables for long periods of time to bring out its hidden flavors. And the process of stock making takes a little bit of time plus some effort, but I think in the end delivers great results that will make most of your home cooked meals taste 10 times better. I grew up in Ghana and I remember vividly when my mom will always, my dad, growing up, my dad was always he is a vegetarian and he has always been a vegetarian since I was born. And whenever my mom will cook for us, she always had to, my dad's food was cooked separate because it didn't have any meat in it. And she wanted it to have flavor and she would always sneak and put some maggi in it. And the reason she was adding the maggi was because my dad was eating mainly mushrooms, tofu, and beans, and she wanted to add some flavor to it, and that was the only thing she knew, maggi. So I'm so grateful that I know something like stock that I can use in place of maggi. So I honestly do not cook with maggi. And so if you are not someone that makes your own stock at home, I hope you watch this video and you find it inspiring enough to make you start doing it because it is healthier. And now, as you can see, my turkey soup pack has all been washed, and I did put a little bit of kitchen towel there to set that bowl that I washed it in. I don't want to get my work surface contaminated, so that is the reason for that. Now I'm transferring it into my soup and my stock pot, and I'm using a 10-liter stock pot. And concerning stock pot, I will advise that you use a big enough stock pot when you make it because this will limit how often you have to do it. I do stock once a month and I freeze it, and usually it lasts me a month. It depends. Some months I use more and then maybe I will have to do it again, and some months I won't have to repeat this process all over again. So my big advice would be use a big enough stock pot if you want to get into stock making. And I'm going to list my favorite down below. Thank God there's Amazon. You can find everything there, and they have like affordable options as well because these can be very, very expensive. So I will link some down in the description box below, and if you're interested you can check it out. Now I'm just going to clean everything. I'm cleaning the bowl because I will use it for the carrots and the leeks, and I'll clean that. I'll clean the sink and yeah, get ready to move to the next step. And for the sink, I'm using this Sif Power Shine, and that is what I prefer. If you live in Austria, then you know this product. You can find it at Beeper or DM, and that is what I use to clean my sink then to get rid of all the bacteria. I really like it. And please make sure you do not use your dish sponge to do this. Get a different sponge to do it. And now that I have cleaned everything, I'm going to start with the soup, the vegetable pack, and that is just some carrots, some celery stem, and I peel off the carrots, but this is not necessary. You can just wash them and that is fine, but I choose to peel it because that's what I normally do. And so I'll keep peeling, and then after that put them in my stock pot. If you like, you can add the peeled skin to the stock pot, but I normally don't do that. And this is from my leek cream soup that I made a few weeks ago. So the top, the green part that I saved, I'm going to add that to my stock pot as well. But normally the vegetable pack, it comes with a piece of leek in it. But because leek is a little bit expensive, they don't put a big piece in it. For the onion, you don't have to peel the skin. You can just wash it and dump it in a stock pot. But I peel the skin because over years of making stock, I have noticed that when I make it with the skin, it gives it this color. It adds the color to it because onion skin you can actually use to color. I know a Romanian that during Easter she boils onion skin, and that is what she used to color her eggs. So that gives the stock a color, and when you want that color, the look of the color to your stock, then you can add the skin. I normally prefer as clear as possible stock, so that's why I take the skin off. I'm going to give the carrots and onions and stuff a quick wash, and then I'll add it to the stock pot. Here, if you are strong, you can just break them in half, but as you can tell, I am not, so I'm using a knife and I will cut them in twos or in threes depending on how big they are. So I'll keep going until it is all done, and the onions I will also cut them as well. This is the tiny leek that was in the vegetable pack, and as you can tell, there's a lot of sand in it still, so I have to wash all that sand out because even though the stock is going to end up being strained, I would rather get rid of the sand now. than later. So that's what I'm doing over there by the sink. And now the hard work part is done, and the rest is just a piece of cake. We just add some water and put it on the burner. So now I have my water added to it, and I'm going to put this on my burner on medium heat. Now I'm over by the burner, and I'm going to add some sea salt, the coarse one, to this. And this is the kind that I use, is the one with iodine in it. So I'll add that. At this point, we are going to keep our eye on the stock because we want it to come to a boil. And once it comes to a boil, it is going to have a foam at the surface, and we will use this strainer kind of ladle to collect that foam that comes on the surface. So keep your eye on it, and that's something that I'm making for my kids to eat. It's been about 15 minutes, and let's check, and yep, the foam is coming on top. I have my heat on medium. This is a very thick pot, so it takes a while for it to heat up. So now this is the foam I'm talking of. You can decide to just leave this foam and it will boil and it will mix with the stock, but I take this extra step to collect it because it gives the stock a cloudy look if I don't collect them. And like I mentioned a couple of times, when I make stock, I want to get it as clear as possible, so I don't like the cloudy look, and that is why I take this extra step. I'm doing this stock like a professional, okay? It's 1 o'clock here, and I'm trying to finish editing this video so I can finally go to bed. Everybody's sleeping in this house except for me. is an option here for you. If you don't have that Ladle kind of strainer and you have a normal strainer like this, you can use that to collect the foam as well. Or another thing you can use is just a normal spoon, because I mean it works the same. You just take the spoon and you go around it just like I'm doing, like this, and you can collect the foam as well. So it is totally doable if you choose to do it. So I don't know if you have noticed yet, but the foam is getting less and less, and it's not as grayish like when it started foaming up. So I keep repeating this step a few times until there is no foam at all, and then I'll move to the next step. So you do not want your stock to be boiling too hard. You want it to be bubbling a little bit like this, because that is how you get the flavors, you know, like simmering it like on a low heat. So yeah, at this point it's not creating any foam, and you can see that yourself. So it's been going now for like an hour, and I will add my peppercorn to it. If you do add the peppercorn before the foam starts coming at the surface, then when you collect the foam, you will collect all the peppercorns. So that is why it's important to put it in at this stage. So I'll add that, and this stock is going to cook like, simmer like this for 4 hours. So I'll put the lid on just halfway like that, and every now and then come and check and make sure it's not boiling too hard or boiling over. Troubles coming on the way, but you can still walk them through. It's all you do. Now you're in a weird place from kitchen to bathroom. So now what I'm doing is filling my bathtub with some water. I laid a little towel there to put the stock on because the pot is really hot. So to protect the surface of the bathtub. And this is how much it has reduced. It is so flavorful, you have to taste it. So I'm filling the bathtub because it's a big area, a big space, and it cools the stock quicker. So I'll fill it all the way to the top here, the top of the pot where I'm showing, and do not be tempted to leave real quick, because if you do leave, the water will cover the stock and it will all be ruined. So keep it, just stand there and fill it, okay? And now this is our last step, and then we can give ourselves a pat on the shoulder. So I'm just setting my containers that I'm going to put the stock in on this paper towel because I don't want to make a mess, and the stock has cooled completely. These containers have a lid, and my stock my stock comes with this strainer together, but I don't use the strainer because it takes too much space. I would rather have more stock. So if you have a stock with a strainer like this, you won't have to do this extra work that I'm about to do. You can just take the strainer out and then start putting with a ladle, putting the stock in your containers. But because I don't use that, I use this little mesh strainer, and I'll set it on the containers and I will fill them up. And about these containers, I got these from Amazon.com. I've had them for over 6 years and they are still like brand new. They are very good. Amazon DE, which is Amazon in Germany, they have a similar kind, but it doesn't hold us long. It has terrible reviews because it's not that good. And so if you want to get these, if you want to get into stock making, I will recommend you get these. If you live in Austria, you will just have to pay a little bit of money for the shipping because it's coming all the way from the US, but it is totally worth it. It comes in a pack of 24 and it comes in a 32 ounce each, which is 4 cups. So each container takes 4 cups of stock. And what I love about them is you can thaw them in a microwave. I don't use a microwave, but if you're somebody that uses a microwave, and let's say you have your stock frozen and you're in a hurry, you need a stock to make a soup or a gravy, stew, whatever, you just take it from the freezer and directly into the microwave and you are done. So that is why I highly recommend these. In case you want to check it out, I'm going to leave a link in the description box. You can check it out, and yeah, I will keep filling my containers, and then after that put them in the freezer.
Troubles coming on the way, but you can still walk them through. It's all we do. The world is waiting for you. Troubles coming on the way, but you can still walk them through. It's all we do. The world is waiting for you.
And now with clean hands, I'm going to dig in and remove the turkey bones, the carrots, the onions, the leeks, everything, because they have done their job, and I'm digging them out so I can get to the remaining stock that is underneath this. Unfortunately, like I mentioned, they have done their job, so I throw them in the garbage. You can choose to pick the meat from the drumstick or the wings, but after simmering this for 4 hours, the meat is very, very mushy and I don't enjoy eating it, so I just throw that out. In case you have a dog, then hey, whenever you make stock, it will be like Christmas for the dog then. But I don't have a dog.
Just roll the lesson that I learned. Misty heart, in your heart, I'll be there anywhere you want. Troubles coming on the way, but you can still walk them through. It's all we do.
And now I'm all done, and this is how it looks like. Now I have enough stock to last me for approximately 1 month. And what I do is I just put them in my freezer, and when I need it, I take it out like the night before and I put it in the fridge. and let it thaw out overnight, and then I have it all ready to make my delicious meals, just like my vegetable soup. If you haven't tried that, I don't know if I've shared it yet. My pumpkin cream soup that I have shared with mango, and then my leek cream soup. So now you know my secret, and you can make delicious meals for your family. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you find it helpful. If you did, give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. It is good night for me. Bye.